Now define honky tonk for me.
Honky tonk, oh,
Like specifically, is it an event or a type of music?
both.
Okay. Hey guys, Matt Hughes here again at Sonic Acre Studios. We're running a new series of the Red Couch interviews. Happy to get these going again. With me tonight in the studio, Jon Knauss. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Jon is a local singer-songwriter based out of Lancaster. He is playing a show this coming Friday, April 10th, 7 to 9, at the Listening Room, which is a venue inside the Reading City Church on Penn Avenue. These are great shows. I go to most of them. It's usually local and or touring bands that come through. They play a couple sets. BYOB, the room is set up for live music. So it's just a really nice, intimate venue to see live music. So looking forward to seeing you there. I'll definitely be at that show.
Great. It'll be good to see you again.
Yeah, awesome. Tell me a little bit about, we talked a little bit on the phone prepping for this because I wanted to listen to some of your music and I saw you had one song up because you're working on an album right now.
Yes.
So I did listen to the one song, Bet on Me. Is that correct?
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about, now listening to your style, that had some pedal steel on it, it sounded like. To me, listening to it, without talking to you, very much a little more of an old school country western vibe mixed with like modern folk, kind of the way I heard it.
Yes.
Can you describe to me a little bit your style and what would you consider your style to be?
Yeah. So stylistically, I mean, right on the nose, kind of going for the old school kind of country sound along with the like Joni Mitchell, John Denver kind of folk country sound of that time period. A little less outlaw country. But yeah, just really leaning into the pedal steel and kind of the open and kind of, I guess, weepy sound of the country and folk music from 60s, 70s.
Okay, good. So that is what I was hearing. Yeah, definitely sounded great. Can you tell me a little bit more about the song, what it's about, and what was your inspiration for it?
So the song Bet on Me is about my partner, who we had a very rough start to getting together. We had met at an audition for something, and then we were trying to make it work, and then I ended up needing to move for work, and so kind of put that on hold. Once I was more settled, we had tried again, and then I ended up actually getting cancer, and it was just kind of too much to be officially together. But he decided to stay with me through everything and kind of help out and stick around and just all around be there. And then after that, we decided to be together, and kind of more issues came up with job changes and everything. And I wasn't always in like the best state of mind, and he was always being hopeful and optimistic. And so Bet on Me was really just born out of how, I was going through all of this rough life circumstances that he could have, easily just dipped out on. But he didn't. He took, that chance. He, bet on me.
The gamble.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. And so when it gets to the bridge of be my lucky star, never stray too far, if I could lasso the sun and the moon, I'd give them both to you, is very much just like, you've done so much, you've been through this with so much, I'm kind of surprised you're still here, but like, there's no one else that I would want here by my side, kind of going through all of this.
Awesome. What a great song to release as your first one.
Yeah, it felt right, and it was the one that I felt like captured the sound I wanted the most. Yeah, pedal steel. I think I was at a concert of my friend's one time and he called it a sad machine.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I always like asking people when you're in the studio, what about recording versus playing live, which is a very different thing. What about the studio are you surprised by, or do you like or not like? Tell me a little bit about that, because I think it's a little bit different for everybody, but a lot of people do say that the studio experience is hyper-focused, which is just a very different experience than playing live or jamming or any of those other things. So
yeah, I mean, in the studio for me, I struggle a little bit because I have to, kind of separate myself and my guitar to really get a good take, because we've tried to do sing and play at the same time. And either I'm not capturing something vocally well, or I'm not playing guitar well, and we kind of have to start all over.
Right.
And so it's always hard for me to separate the two, because I learned to sing and play guitar kind of at the same time.
Right.
They've always been together. And so
You're not doing a live capture of the vocals and guitar.
correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We had tried one session of that and decided that it just wasn't working. And
Gotcha.
so when we separated it, we got a better take. It just makes you feel a little more exposed than relying on one or the other.
It is. I think we were texting about Avid Brothers, which is, they've been around obviously a while, but I recently discovered them last year. I think I was watching the documentary, and it was showing them doing the live, and it was the both of them. And it might have been a few other musicians in the room, but it was fully live, vocals, guitar, because that was the way they're doing it. It's about that ebb and flow. The tempo is not locked. They have to see each other is another thing. They're in like a semicircle.
Yeah.
It's a whole different experience trying to do it that way. And it's sometimes very difficult, if not impossible, to capture, so.
Yeah. And with pulling in, more musicians to play on it, you really, and all at different times, you really have to, lock in the two parts that are kind of leading the whole thing.
Right.
So it's a difficult environment for me, but always ends up being great in the end, especially because, if I don't get certain musicians on a live show, I'm like, well, we'll always have, this. And like, I have friends of mine who are either touring or super busy with their own work, setting aside time to come play their instrument and like believe in your music. So the studio really, the thing I do like about it is it brings out the people who believe in what you're doing.
Right.
And want to be, part of, the bigger thing that you're doing.
Right.
So yeah. So I like that.
Yeah. No, it's one of the reasons I love doing studio work. It really is. It's a deep dive into all of that. And it's about performance. It's about layers. It's about arrangement. And it's fun. It's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Which can be a long process, as you're probably discovering. It can.
Yeah. Usually I've done albums we've done it in 3 days.
Right.
So this has been, I think we started in January. So just to work out schedules, and I mean, it's a busy studio that's in Lancaster, so they're trying to work around everyone else. And since it's acoustic, no one else can really be in there.
Right. You've seen all the documentaries with bands that were around years ago, and they go off to some mansion or some place for 6 months. And I get it. It's like, that is awesome, just to plant yourself somewhere, focus on the recording. Obviously, they had a limitless budget in those situations. But it is kind of like a neat thing to see that and just be like, yeah, that's kind of like how that works. You just stay hyper focused on it. When you first got into music, tell me around what age and what was the influence that kind of got you either into singing or playing guitar or songwriting? And it certainly doesn't even have to be something that is an influence to your music today, because for me it was very different back when I was a teenager. Tell me a little bit more about what kind of got you started.
So I started with music very young. It was like the elementary school, there's do you want to play an orchestra, an orchestra instrument or a band instrument? And I picked up cello and kind of thought that that's what I was going to be doing. And then always kind of wanted to play guitar. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. I saw someone in my class learning, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then it kind of went to the wayside because I was focusing all my time on playing cello, and then kind of exploring music more and more, and just kind of wanting to, I don't know, something was inside that was just I want to write, I want to do this. I just can't do that on this instrument. And so I think it was my freshman year of high school, they were offering a guitar course as an elective. So I took that and then just tried to start writing. At that time, the big influence, I was like, oh, I want to be some sort of rock star or something. That was always at the time was Switchfoot was my big Switchfoot. And then later high school, a friend of mine made me a mix CD that had the Avett Brothers and Mumford and Sons and I'm forgetting his name, Andrew Bird. and
Right.
people like that. And I was like, oh, this is what's like really calling to me that
Right.
I want to do.
Right.
And that kind of, shaped how I started, was the more
Right.
like indie folk kind of thing.
The indie folk, acoustic rock, singer songwriter.
Yeah.
It's like that it just all comes together.
Mhm.
Yeah. And songwriting, did that come immediately, or was it learning to play the guitar first and then kind of thinking about melodies and how that all?
They started together.
Okay.
Because that was kind of the kind of like the gateway. It was just like, I want to write music. This is
Mhm.
the easiest way to do it is like, guitar, piano.
Right.
And I can't play piano at all. So I was like, guitar it is. And so they just kind of started together.
Okay.
I would fumble through chords. I would play like one note at a time and just try and figure out what I wanted. I mean, the early songs were trash, but I mean, like, as soon as I like started, I was like, it was all I wanted to do. I was just playing for hours and writing anything and everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're from Lancaster County,
Yes.
or if you're not from here, Lancaster.
Yeah, correct.
And what is the music scene like in Lancaster? Because I do see a lot of stuff. I have, artists that have recorded here from Lancaster. I have friends that live in Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot in Lancaster, Lidditz, Main Street, that whole area. Tell me a little bit more about the music scene in that area and what's developing and kind of which venues are starting to like have live music regularly. I'm just curious for myself because I want to check them out, but also anybody that's watching that is from that area.
Yeah. So Lancaster kind of has everything. You'll be able to find pretty much whatever you want. The big, things right now are folk punk at like DIY venues, which is like people's basements. I think a friend of mine was in an apartment that was above a check cashing place, and he went to a concert that was there. And then, oddly enough, like country and honky tonk and folk and bluegrass and old time music have kind of all centered at this place called West Art, which is a pretty big venue out there that just opened in the last year and a half. And yeah, so those are kind of the two big things. I know Zootropolis kind of gets the experimental alternative, but yeah, Lancaster's pretty open to everything. But those are the two that seem to be emerging as all the folk stuff that's been going on. Friends of mine host a monthly honky tonk that I've played at. There's an old time jam every Tuesday.
Now define honky tonk for me.
Honky tonk,
like specifically, is it an event or a type of music?
Both.
Okay.
It's two-step dancing, line dancing, country music. So like anything from, I played there. We did like John Prine, Johnny Cash. Anything that like when you think like, country music.
Right.
We kind of stop at like the 2000s, but it's a lot of fun.
And people come ready to dance to these.
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
People come ready to dance. They have a whole dance lesson. It gets packed out. Other than that, I also play old time there. I play upright bass for that, and that's like square dances and stuff. We're actually coming out to Stampede. There's like 6 different dates. But Stampede,
I'll put it in the at the video at the end. I'll put that in there because Stampede is literally 8 minutes from my house, so it's right down the street. We eat there all the time. I've not seen music there, but I've been in there since they did the brewery and added the addition. It's a neat venue. Yeah, and they're definitely going for the old Western saloon vibe inside. So I kind of now see what they're doing with kind of putting the pieces together. Yeah,
so it's like Lancaster Square Dance does every other month of the summer, and then my friend's band, Big Cricket String Band from Maryland, does the off ones that we don't do.
Gotcha. Now, when you do the shows and you're singing, are you solo usually, or do you bring out other musicians, or?
It kind of depends. Usually I've been opening more, either opening or headlining, and it's all been solo. A lot of people in Lancaster do solo.
Okay.
If there is a band, then I try to put something together. Because again, doing old time and the honky tonk has connected me with a bunch of people with very similar musical taste, and they play the things that I need them to play. I didn't know pedal steel players existed in Lancaster until like 2 years ago, and there's like 5 of them.
Nice.
So.
And they go live?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. So they got the rig, which isn't super small or light, but I've seen
Correct.
it. Okay.
Yeah. So that, people who just, want to play music that they haven't been able to get their hands on until recently. So yeah, no, it's been great just finding people. So yeah, usually solo, but
okay.
I've had a band, I think, twice now.
Okay.
So that I've been able to pull together. Yeah.
All right, Jon, I really appreciate coming again, guys. Jon Knauss playing this Friday, April 10th at the Listening Room, which is again in the Reading City Church on Penn Avenue, 7 to 9, BYOB. This will be a solo show, is that correct?
Yes, it'll be a solo show. I do release under Friar Jon. That's kind of what's been the, because it's, as we did earlier, it's very hard to kind of coach people through my last name since it's not spelled how you think it should be.
Right. So Friar Jon, April 10th. I will put all the links in the video description, so I'll have the event down there, information about the show. You'll also maybe get me those Stampede dates. I can also put those down below. Yep. That would be great because that's a local venue out here. And again, Jon, thanks for coming out. Appreciate talking to you. It was a good conversation.